Right. Kalamai, I'm going to share my Google site that has all of that important information because you're going to go after me, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just a quick background, you're going to learn more about this Oli through your time here in at Leeward if you haven't already. And if you join our Kauai Mano Mano cohort, which is in the spring, you'll get to learn it directly from Kumumomi. But this is a an Oli that honors the place that we are, the place that we will be teaching, the oceans in front of us and the uka behind us, and all of the living things that are around us that embody this place we call Pu'uloa. For now, you can mute, and I'm just gonna say it, but if you would like to Oli along with me, feel free and try out the words. Hello, pulo, hello, no, Eva, hello, mo, na ke ho. He ki o wai lua, he muli vai. No, Eva, no, waina kai aha maule o, aha mau ana ka leo ke kanak. O pa mai au ane hila hila. Ke eo wai ala I loko ke kai. O ke kai pua kai ula I ke kai o kuhia e. He mei, he mei. E ano mako nei.
Ho'oia Aina Land Acknowledgement. Leeward Community College with Profound Reflection offers this Ho'oia Aina Land Acknowledgement Statement, recognizing Hawaii as an indigenous space whose original people are today identified as Native Hawaiians. Leeward Community College upholds the University of Hawaii's commitment to the well-being of our indigenous communities. This Ho'oia Aina honors the relationship between Kanaka Oiwi and the lands upon which the college and its education centers sit. With much aloha, this statement pays respect to the Aina Oiwi of our Pu'uloa campus in the Ahupua'a of Waiawa, the Wai'anae Moku Education Center in the Ahupua'a of Lualualei, and the Wahiawa Value Added Product Development Center in the Ahupua'a of Wai'anae Uka, respectively located in the Moku of Ewa and Wai'anae, with all three centers located on the Mokupuni of Oahu. This Ho'oia Aina welcomes all who gather on these ancestral lands. All right. So everyone, we will be starting each of our sessions, not always with the Oli, but we'll always be starting with the land acknowledgement statement. And I just want to say a couple things about both. So Hello Pu'uloa is our Pu'uloa campus Oli. Our Wai'anae Moku campus has their own Oli as well to welcome people in. And the Hello Pu'uloa chant was actually discovered, I think, by one of our former students, right? Ke Po'o Kili'ipa Akawa. And when he was doing his dissertation research, he came upon these words. And so he brought it to one of our Hawaiian studies professors, Ku'i Polosh, to say, hey, look what I found. And from there, the campus adopted it. Kumumomi Kamahele, who those of you who are at orientation got a chance to meet her. She was the one who put the mele or the cadence to this oli. And then it became something that we've adopted and we've taught because it references so many different parts of the space that we occupy, and the space that we're allowed to teach and present and to service. So that's a little bit about our Oli. And again, like as Kumu Kalea said, if you join Kawai Mano Mano, which is another professional development program that's offered in the spring, we go more into the Oli and a little bit more about our place. The Ho'oia Aina is a land acknowledgement statement. And the reason that Kalea and I decided to do this one at the start of each of our sessions together is because it's really, it's not only a way to pay respect to the area, to the Aina, but it's also a way to kind of ground us. You know, all of you folks are so busy, such busy lives, and we want to respect that. And there's so much chatter and buzz going on that when we come together for A'o, going through the Ho'oia Aina will be a way for us to transition to a place of a little bit more peace and being a little bit more centered and being preparing ourselves to be present and to see where we are and to acknowledge that, hey, we're here together. And what a gift it is for educators to just have the gift of time to come together and just talk about improving our craft of teaching, right? So we want to say thank you to all of you. We know it's a commitment, so 2.5 hours every Friday between now and Halloween is nothing to sneeze at. So we understand that you folks have made this commitment to be together and that you're showing up, not only for this program, but you're showing up for each other, you're showing up for us, and most importantly, you're showing up for yourself to give back to yourself. So we just want to say thank you for that, and that's why we'll be doing the Ho'oia Aina at the start of every semester. So, with that said, welcome to A'o. And Kalea, I didn't even prepare you for this, but I wanted, Kalea is the one who actually named the program a couple years ago. And so, if Kalea, would you mind just kind of explaining a little bit about A'o and how it relates? I didn't even prep her for this, but she's so good.
Sure, no problem. Um, as some of you might know, if you know a little background of Hawaiian language, in our language, one word can mean many things. And so it's no different with the word a'o. This word means to teach, and it also means to learn. And it kind of speaks to the brilliance of our kupuna and the awesomeness of our language. Because if you think about it in your own class, you really do learn from your students just as much, hopefully, as they learn from you. And so that reciprocal relationship is really what this program is going to be about, because we're going to be providing you with many, many strategies for your teaching, whether it's online or in person. We'll also bring in some other experts from the Leeward Ohana and other CCs to talk about ways that they engage or ways that they build their teaching philosophy. So we have many great topics to or to teach. And I think in your participation, we will also be learning from you in your collaboration with each other. So AO is really that reciprocal nature of teaching and learning. AO aku is to teach and AO mai is to learn. And so that is kind of the foundation of the name for our program. And then it's also an acronym. So I think Erin does a better job of explaining the acronym.
Yeah, so when we go over the syllabus, it'll be in your syllabus so that you can refer back to it. But again, in her brilliance, Kalea came up with this name, and it was definitely meant to be. So mahalo, Kalea. Okay, so what we're gonna do you want to tell them about this, Kalea, before we move on?
The site,
Yeah, or you want
no,
that in?
we can leave it to the end. I
Okay.
just wanted to see this if you were.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, okay. So in addition, so you're gonna notice that when we do spell AO out, it's all in capital letters. So it's kind of like an acronym. It's also a play on words. So it stands for three core values that we do want to express in this program. So one, of course, being aloha, right? That is a core value. It's something that we want to demonstrate. We want to perpetuate with each other, with ourselves, with our peers, and most definitely with our students. The next part of the acronym is actually the Okina. In Olelo Hawaii, Okina is actually an alphabet. It's one of the alphabets. And so that's how you spell Ohana. Many of you are very familiar with the word Ohana, but it's not just O-H-A-N-A, it's Okina O-H-A-N-A. So Okina is its own letter, its own alphabet. And what that stands for in our thing is Ohana, and it's the idea of building community. And Kalea is going to go over a lot about building Pilina and building community in our classrooms. We'll be talking a lot about that throughout the semester. And then the O stands for Ola. Ola is life. And when we thought about, using Ola as this, as part of our values, core values, it's the idea that we care about your total well-being. So we care about the total well-being of our students. It's not just memorize this and learn and get better, but it's really how are you doing? How is your whole journey going? And that's how Colette and I feel about all you folks. That yes, we hope you take away some strategies and so forth, but more than that, we hope that you can do it in the context of your overall wellness throughout this next semester. Because if we aren't well, we're not good for anyone. So we need to definitely put that on the map as well. Okay. All right. So I think at this point, what we're going to do is just kind of get to know each other a little bit more with some real basic just introductions. So I'm going to put it in the chat and Clint and I will start it off. So basically, we're going to ask you to just share your name and what you like to be called, the division or discipline that you're coming from, like what do you teach? If you want to share how long have you been teaching? And then we just so that we can get to know a little bit about you, where do you call home? Okay. So and you don't have to do life stories and stuff because we'll have time to share that. But this is just for us to get to know each other a little bit better. Okay. So I'll go ahead and start. So my name is Erin Kanoilani Thompson. People call me Erin or Kanoilani. I love both. I identify with both. My division is academic services, and I'm part of the Innovation Center for Teaching and Learning. I've been in the UH Community Colleges system for 29 years, and I've probably taught for about 20 years of that. I've taught not consistently, but because my background is really more in counseling. But I have taught for 3 of the 4 community colleges on Oahu. So I've taught classes at there. I do love teaching. I love connecting with students. And where do I call home? I was born and raised in Ha'alava, which is kind of by Aloha Stadium area, Foster Village. That's where I was born and raised. And though I live in Mililani now, Halava is always my home, and I still drive by my childhood home every so often. It's a place where I connect. Um, yeah, it's a place that I'll always be connected to. So that's where I call home. I also call home wherever my children are. So wherever they are, that's my home as well. Okay. With that said, I'm gonna toss it over. We're gonna toss it over to Kalea.
Okay. Aloha kako. My name is Jadine Renee Kale'alani Silva. I do not prefer Jadine or Renee, so you can call me Kalea. My students call me Kalea. Sometimes they call me Kumu. They also call me Dr. Silva, which I do not require them to do so, but some just have to. And some call me Professor Silva, so I go by many names, but Kalea is the preferred name. I am in the teacher education program under social science. I've been teaching here at Leeward since 2010. And prior to that, I was in the DOE for 10 years teaching 8th graders. And then for 2 years, mentoring beginning teachers. So I love this work. I love working with new faculty. I love working with brand new teachers. It's so exciting to see the excitement on their faces, but also to see the growth throughout the year. So I'm really happy to be here with all of you. And lastly, I was born, raised, still reside in the Moku of Ewa, in the Ahupua'a of Honouliuli. Uh, I grew up in Ewa Beach, but I live in Ewa now. And so I'm gonna pass it to Jolie.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Jolie Dollar, and students call me Kumu Dollar or Kumu Jolie. Either one is fine. Um, I teach under sustainable agriculture, so I teach agriculture classes and botany classes. How long have I been teaching? So this is my second semester at Leeward. But before that, I taught at Windward Community College for 2 years. And before that, I taught at American Samoa Community College for 2 years. Um, but even before that, I did a lot of workshops, mainly in chainsaw safety and maintenance and chipper safety and maintenance. So I have a lot of experience with more like 1 day workshops. Um, Kailua is where I call home. This is where my family is. And yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be a part of this group. Should I pass it on to
Yeah,
somebody?
Jolie, go ahead and pick someone else.
Okay, I will tag Jade.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Jade Sunuuchi. My students call me Jade, Miss Jade. Some of them say professor, but technically, I'm not a professor. I'm a new instructor this semester at Leeward. I've been a long-time lecturer in the UH system. So the past 10 years, I was at UH West Oahu, and I have mainly taught English composition courses for freshmen and sophomore. So a lot of English 100. And prior to teaching at UH, I also taught at a technical career school called Heald College. And during the course of this time, I've also had early college experience in the DOE schools on the west side, especially Waianae, Kapolei, and Campbell. I am, of course, part of language arts. My home is Manoa, where I grew up, but I have been for a while residing in Makiki, not too far away. So I have the reverse commute. But a home is also where all the plants and the plushies I have are. So really into plants.
You and Jolie can talk story about stuff then. Jade, go ahead, pick the next person. Welcome.
I will tag Helena.
Aloha, everyone. My name's Helena Nordoff. I grew up in the Ahupua of Mauna Loa, which is also Hawaii Kai. And I've been teaching one full academic year at Leeward Community College as a lecturer, and then I just recently was hired as the new 2D instructor for art, studio art. So I'm in the art and humanities division, but prior to that, I was teaching full-time at Honolulu Museum of Art School, where I ran the printmaking studio. So my focus and specialty is in printmaking. And if you have any questions, printmaking is kind of a niche medium, so feel free to ask me what that is if you're not familiar. It's a very diverse art form, like lots of different types of printmaking, but I'll also be teaching drawing. And I also taught one full academic year as a graduate assistant at University of Hawaii at Manoa. Okay, and then I will pass it on to, let's see, Benton.
Hi everyone, aloha. My name is Benton Sen. I'm in the English department. I will be teaching English 100 this fall. This is my first term here. I have taught in the past at KCC, Manoa, and also Chaminade. So I've taught English 100, English 200, and also memoir writing. So let's see. So I've been in the UH system for a number of years. In the past, about 8 or 9 years ago, I wrote a book called Men of Hula about Robert Cazimero and his halau. So I was very happy to do that, and I'm working on another book for him and halau. It's called the Third Renaissance, because it is the Hawaiian belief right now that we are in a third Renaissance. So that's what's happening there. What I call home. I live in.
Can I just interrupt real quickly? So those of you who are at orientation know this, but Benton, in his first book, interviewed Kalea. He interviewed Keala. So Keala's in his first book. Keala Chalk is our vice chancellor for academic affairs. So I thought that was so neat, Benton. That's great. And good luck on your second book.
Thank you. So where I call home, right now I live in Waikiki, but our family home was in Nu'uanu. And why that was very important to me is because that house was owned by, I think, the great great granddaughter of Colonel Judd, who was the advisor to Kamehameha. That's why that home is really important. Okay, let's see. Joey.
Hi everyone. Apologize if there's noise. I'm actually at Starbucks. um, so my name is Joey. I'm with the Math and Science Division. I'll be teaching ICS 101. How long I have been teaching? Formally, this is actually my first time teaching. My background is in IT, more specifically IT support. So I've done like trainings and stuff for like applications or whatever tech-related stuff in my previous positions, but this is really my first formal first time teaching, so I'm excited and nervous. Um, where do I call home? I guess in my early childhood, I lived in Salt Lake, um, and then we moved to like Pahu where I grew up. Um, but I don't know, in general, I just feel like Oahu as my home, because throughout my life, I've had to do different things, um, around the island. So at some points, I felt more like, oh, I'm here, on the west side or here in town. Especially when I'm involved, previously when I was involved with nonprofits, like we did something here, something there. So I just love being around the island. So yeah, Oahu, I consider home. And I guess I'll pick Kelsey.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Kelsey Takara. I am in the PAT division teaching culinary. I do the baking and pastry. Students call me Chef Kelsey. You guys can call me Kels, that's fine. I'm starting my third semester here at Leeward. Prior to that, I did 3 years of culinary education at Pro City High School. And then let's see, what am I missing? I think all I'm missing is where do I call home? So I'm born and raised Pro City. I went to Pro City High School, so that was a really nice homecoming for me. But for me, I like to consider home anywhere where there's mountains. College, I went to school in Denver. I did an internship up in the mountains, got to go snowboarding every day, and so wherever there's mountains, that's where I enjoyed being, and so Hawaii works too. Thank you. And then I guess we got Leslie left.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Leslie Blood. I have lived here on Oahu for 5 years. I'm actually from Colorado, so I love that. And I love the mountains too. That's why I live on the windward side right at the end of the H3 Kailua Kaneohe. So students call me Dr. Blood or Professor Blood because they think the last name's cool, but you can call me Leslie. I'm good with that. I have been teaching for, I can't believe it, 15 years. So actually started off in a community college in Texas and have taught at the University of Maryland, Colorado State University. And when I moved here, I started working at Hawaii Pacific University. So left there to come here, and I'm super excited to be here. I'm in the business department, and I will be teaching business law. I have a law degree, but also what I'm super excited is also working teaching career skills. So hopefully getting our students jobs, because that's what they pay for, right? They come here to get an education and get a job. So I'm super excited to be doing that. I think that's it. Where do I call home? I'm kind of torn. Home, where my family, my parents, my brother is still in Colorado in the mountains. So I love that. But also home is here with my two boys and my husband. So kind of split. So it's nice to meet everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. We have such a diverse background, and I want to just say, Helena, I just started to take art classes at the Honolulu Museum of Art.
Oh,
So
no way.
yeah, and I have to just say, okay, so just okay, this is off script, but I just have to share that when I was in elementary school, I my teacher uh kind of said I didn't really have a talent for art. And so it just totally shattered me. And I just never took an art class. I took anything, but I never took it in high school. And my high school at the time offered like glass blowing and ceramics. Never took it because I just was so intimidated. And now that I'm older and stuff, I find this is my first art class that I went back to in summer and I love it. And so I just want to say thank you to the arts. I have like super mad respect for people in the arts, including culinary arts, Kels, because that's the arts too. So, but
Well,
anyway,
that's so. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say that's so common and that, people have that experience when they're young and it's so unfortunate. Everyone is creative and capable of being an artist. So
I love it. And and to me that just speaks to the power of teachers, right? It speaks to the power, like whether we realize the influence we have or not on our students, our words mean things, our actions mean things, and that's why building that sense of community, building them up, telling them that yes, they can, telling them that I believe in you so that you can believe in you. You folks do have that mana, you have that power with you. And so that's something we just really have to be cognizant of as we go through this. Okay?
And just to add to what Erin said, and while it is kind of off script, it really does pertain to what we're all doing as educators. There's a famous saying in Hawaiian, "Ika olelo no ke ola, ika olelo no ka make." And what that literally means is language can bring life and language can bring death. And that means we can speak life into our students. We can lift them up just by something we say. We can move mountains with words, and we can also destroy. And so, Erin, to that kumu who told you you're not an artist, papai ko na manao, you're fantastic.
Mahalo, Claire. I have long since, I mean, and I was in elementary school, so maybe I twisted the memory, but that was the impression I got. So, but anyway, again, it just speaks to the point that you folks really have the ability to lift people up. So it's what an honor that we have to be in this profession. Okay. With that said, again, mahalo for just being vulnerable and sharing a little bit about yourselves. At this time, I'm going to throw something in the chat. We're going to do just a real quick activity that Kalea had taught me. It's called Waterfall. So when you're on a Zoom type of thing, I'm going to put a question in there. So what would you like to get out of A'o? And what we want you to do is to take a couple seconds, 30 seconds or so to really type in the chat what you would like to get out of A'o, but don't hit send. Okay, so hold off on hitting send. We're going to hit send all together when I say, and then we'll see the cascading of all the replies. But for now, just take about 30 seconds or so and write in, what do you want to get out of this experience in A'o? And don't hit enter.
I have to say I'm very impressed because nobody hit enter yet. We usually have at least one who fails to pay attention. So I already know that this is the gifted and talented group.
Yeah, that's right. The gifted and talented group. All right. Okay, everybody anybody need more time? Give me a thumbs up if you're all good. Thumbs up, everybody's good? Okay. All right, on the count of 3, we're going to have you hit enter. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Everyone hit enter. All right, so we have our waterfall. Okay, let's take a moment to just kind of read through it. So what we'd like to get out of A'o, learn from others, make connections, knowledge and experience to be a helpful and supportive teacher. Very good, Joy. Joy, you're already a naturally helpful and supportive person. So I think it's going to be a really easy transition to being that type of teacher. Kels, learning how to better my teacher, further my teacher philosophy. Very good. We will be talking about teaching philosophies. How many of you already have an established teaching philosophy that you work with? How many of you? Sort. Okay, so we're gonna have a session where we're gonna talk a little bit more. It's really important to have a strong teaching philosophy because it's gonna guide everything that you do, all the decisions that you make. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more. Learning more about Hawaiian culture, excellent, and how I can integrate it. Very good. We'll definitely be talking about that as well. Learn and teach, nice collaboration of strategies and perspectives, absolutely. Jade, welcome our community at Leave It Among Teachers. Wish for me teaching strategies in space. Very good. We're going to be inspired by you too, Jade. So I'd like to learn more about Hawaiian pride, Third Renaissance, and how that impacts us as educators. Kalea, have you heard about Third Renaissance? I haven't heard about that yet, Benton.
I have not. I didn't even know there was a second.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I know
we'll
about
all
the 70s, but yeah, I'm excited, Benton. You'll have to enlighten us. Maybe
yeah.
there's a happy hour in need after one of these sessions.
Ooh. Hey, if you guys are down. So I was
Then
even thinking
yeah,
maybe
like
Helena can like teach us some printmaking or something.
I'm down for that.
Okay. Leslie, to learn more about the Leeward students. Yes. Community, Aina, and Hawaiian culture. Excellent. Jolie, learn good teaching skills from others and learn how to best engage students. I'm still just stuck on the fact that you taught workshops about chippers and stuff. I think that's that's pretty cool. And Helena, I would like to diversify my teaching philosophy. Very good. By learning from other philosophies. Very good. And actually, all of the things that you folks put down, we'll definitely touch on. And this is also a little bit free flowing. So even though Kalea and I do definitely have things set up for you folks, as you're going through the semester, if you're like, oh, this issue is really something that I want to bring to the group, absolutely, we'll make time for it. Okay, so this is our supportive group. And with that said, I do want to emphasize too, what is shared here, let's keep it here so that this can be a real safe space. Sometimes it can be hard to talk about students or even talk about colleagues, to just help you work through issues. So we want to make sure that Kalea and I will promise that this will stay between us. This will be a confidential, safe space. And so we just hope that everyone would honor that as well so that we can get the most out of this learning together. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing what you're hoping to get out of A'o. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Kalea, who's going to talk about one of the main things that we're doing here is all about building pilina, or building connection, building relationships. So I'll turn it over to Kalea.
Okay, 1 second. Let me cue it up. And then I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Okay. Oops. Let's make that bigger for my eyes. Okay, so we are going to talk about building pilina. Just if you feel comfortable to unmute, or if you want to type in the chat, how many of you know what that word is? It's nowadays it's often thrown around or used a lot, and so you might have heard it before. What is your understanding of pilina?
I've heard it used as like connections or
Yeah,
threads that are connecting people and places.
that sounds awesome. Connections, threads, connecting people or places. Awesome. Mahalo, Jolie. Anybody else have a thought?
I'll just say ditto. That's what I know.
Yeah, okay. Well, you got it correct. That is what we mean when we talk about pilina. Pili, the word pili means together or to bind. And one of the backgrounds of the word pilina can come from the word pili, which also means grass. And in traditional times, the pili grass is what we held our roofs together in the hale. So pili ana, or the coming together of this grass, signified that thatching of the roof and the strength that happens when you braid this pili together. And so that kind of figurative way of describing connection is really, really important when we think about how we build that pilina, that connection, that strength, that bond with our students and also with our colleagues. And so that's what we're going to talk about in these next few minutes is why is it important for us as educators to build Pilina? So one of the big things I think comes out of building Pilina is students start to feel like, hey, I belong here. When I walk into Leeward, I feel like my professor cares about me. Giving them a sense of connection and belonging and creating that environment that's safe. So what does that look like? Anyone want to unmute and just share one thing about either sense of belonging, connection, or creating a safe environment? What does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? Whether it's your own class or a class you've been in before.
For me, I'd like to adopt a sense of Kuleana in terms of how people utilize like the studio space, because in a shared art studio space, things can get extremely messy, as you can imagine. So giving the students a sense of ownership of the space, like they are responsible for it, helps me, but it also gives them, like I said, ownership, like they feel like they take part in that place. So that's something I adopt.
Mahalo nui, Helena. I want to add to what you just said, and maybe you can build this into your first day of class that kuleana most people know as a sense of responsibility. So of course, in an art class, they have that kuleana to take care of things, but kuleana also means privilege. And they are privileged to be able to go into a classroom and have supplies. Because trust me, in my first 8 to 10 years of teaching in the DOE, I had 28 ukuleles and 38 kids. And so guess what we did? We all made cardboard ukulele out of soda boxes so that half of my students would practice their keys on the cardboard while the other half could play, and then they would switch. So kuleana is responsibility, and they should be taking responsibility. You set that environment for them, but also remind them it's a privilege. So don't just leave the art, the paint laying all around. It's your privilege to use these awesome tools, and they're not free. So let's take care of them as well. Mahalo nui for sharing that. And I truly believe that when we set up a safe space, students need and want that kind of structure. Even our older students in secondary, it's not just a elementary or high school kind of thing. When we set up that caring environment, students know that they are also cared for and that they should do the same thing. Why can't I advance? I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we already did waterfall. So you know the drill now. We're going to do a quick waterfall activity. Let's see if everybody follows directions. I wanted to say as well, this picture always brings me joy when I see it. This is a kind of looks like Kaneohe side, but it is not. It is a mountain range in Papiano'o on the island of Tahiti, one of my favorite places in the world. And this waterfall here is called Wharehurehure. There's so many ridges in this valley. And when it rains really hard, which is often in Papiano'o, all of the hure or waterfalls represent the hair of Pele. So just a little extra tidbit there for you. Okay, so here's the directions that Erin already explained in your chat. Have your chat available. I'm going to give you a question, then I'll give you individual think time. Then I want you to type your answer and wait. Don't press enter until I say enter. Okay? So the question is just simple. What are some ways? Let's say one way. What is a way that you build positive relationships with your students on day one? Because guess what? Next week, Monday is day one, or for some of you, Tuesday, depending on when you start teaching. So I just want you to think of one way. You probably have multiple ways, and you will probably employ those strategies throughout week 1 and week 2, week 3, or all the way through. But in week 1, what is one way that you build positive relationships with your students? Okay, I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Okay, and we are gonna hit enter in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, let's see what we got here. I see. Get to know students who talking story. Yes, absolutely, Kelsey. The downtime is the best time to talk story and get to know them. Make it a point to ask, repeat, and use their names. I love that. Learning names is so important. Being welcoming and kind. Joey, sometimes just a smile on the professor's face makes me feel like, okay, this is not such a scary place to walk into, right? So being welcoming and kind, although that seems so simple, it's really important. Benton said, I tell students I have a speech impediment and that's why I became a writer. Oh my gosh, how inspiring is that? Whatever challenges you bring to the classroom, everyone can find an effective way to communicate. That is amazing. I welcome each student when they enter the class. Awesome. Icebreakers do well to help with participation. I share with students that I was recently a student who was managing work, school, and family. Jade, I think that's so important when we can relate to them. This can be positive and uplifting, but also sometimes they go, "Oh, kumukala, I couldn't turn in my work last night because I was late to, oh, I had to stay late at work." And then I would say, okay, I understand. I worked full time for 2 jobs. I also took care of my mother and I got my homework in on time. So I let you pass, but don't make it a habit, yeah? But time management can be an issue for our students. So mahalo for being understanding about that. I make myself vulnerable, Helena said, by sharing a personal part of my story, and sharing passion and love for the ocean. Mahalo nui, everybody, for sharing your idea of ways that you will build Pilina next week when you get to meet your students for the first time. And I'm sure you will continue to do so. And as we go along on this journey, we're going to get more and more strategies to do that, and ways that we hear other faculty members building relationships. Several of you mentioned getting to know the names of your students. So this is another really important way to show students that you care by saying their name and by saying their name correctly. Those of you who are not from Hawaii, you might find like, wow, the student has 14 letters in their name. And so it might be a little difficult. It's totally fine to ask the student, can you pronounce it for me? And I actually study. I study the names of my students. I have them, my strategy is I have them do these index cards and they write their name on the front and the back. And I cheat for the first couple of weeks and I try to memorize them. So what are some ways that you currently engage with your students and coworkers in terms of learning their background and names? Or what do you plan to do to get to know their names or their backgrounds? What types of challenges do you foresee? So let's just take a moment to review those questions silently. I'll be quiet. And as you think about that, if you're okay to unmute and share with the group, pick any one of those questions to share out with us. One thing that you might do to address one of these questions.
For the names, on the first day, I just print out a list and I go down and then I just ask them, one, how do you pronounce your name, and if there's how they like to be referred to, and I just take a note next to it. That way, I know what their name is in the system, but I also know either how to pronounce it, I write it phonetically for myself, or what they prefer to be called, so that I can get both and identify them together and make that connection.
I love that. Mahalo, Kelsey. I think also allowing them to give a preferred name is important. I always preface that though to my students by saying a reasonable preferred name, yeah? Because I used to teach eighth graders, like I said, and one time I got a, oh, you can call me Sugar Baby. No, Kanoilani, you will not be Sugar Baby, but your friends are welcome to call you Sugar Baby outside. So, with some boundaries there. Anybody else? Mahalo for that, Kelsey. I think asking them to pronounce it is a really powerful way so that you don't mispronounce it out loud. Anyone else and any other question?
I wanted
I'll
to add,
go.
oh,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead, Jay. No, go ahead.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
go after.
I just wanted to add too that I don't read out the roster name at first because I know some students might be transitioning or they have, a preferred name that they really want everyone to know them by instead of what's on the roster. So I have them introduce their name first, and then I make the connection with the roster. And then the other thing I'm going to do, since this is my first time teaching 5 in-person classes,
Wow.
I'm going to have them do like a tent name card on the
Yeah.
first day where they write their name in like big letters that they want to be known by, and just like every class for I don't know how many weeks it will take where they're going to put that out so we can help each other. And then at the end of the class, I'll collect it and then I'll bring it back out the next class to help all of us. Because I know on Zoom we cheat, right? Because we can see their
Yeah.
names, but without that, I need some kind of visual.
That's awesome, Jade. And that also helps them learn each other's names. Like I am a firm believer in social learning, standing up, going and talking to someone else, not just staying in the same. Some of our students love to stay in the same seat every day, and that's okay, but I like to get them up and moving here and there. And I actually use that tent card and I tell them, take that with you and introduce yourself, but also your friend that you're going to talk to now will also see and hear your name. So yeah, we can use that also to build relationships, not just professor to student, but student to student as well. And then someone else, Leslie, you were going to share
Yeah.
something.
So I kind of building on both of yours. So the first day, I always bring fun paper. I don't know if you can see it. And different colors and stuff. I pass it out. I ask them to fold it 3 times and make nameplates. And I use them again to memorize their name, face, and name. And I use it all semester. And like Jade, I pick them up at the end. That way it helps me with attendance too, that I don't have to take time. I just know who came from that group and I can quickly do it. But again, like you said, it's a way for them to know each other. If I have guest speakers come in, then they look prepared that the guest speaker can call them by their name and they can interact. And my icebreaker when we were talking, it's just like you said, it's a fun, like 9, almost tic-tac-toe, kind of fun, crazy questions that they get to personalize, like who likes to surf, who likes pizza, or I wish there was food here at class. And you go to each other and have to sign off. So they have to, again, interact and get out of their seat and kind of break down those walls. And I tell them, look, you've already made 9 friends in your first class.
Awesome.
So just some ideas.
Love that bingo card. Okay, thank you. What was I gonna say? Something you reminded me of something. If it comes back to me, I'll circle back to that. All right. So one of the things that sometimes we don't always get to do is learn more about students' cultural backgrounds. How do they identify in terms of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual identity, culture identity? What languages do they speak? What are their hobbies and interests? So getting to know them and maybe even building some of these uh, identifiers can help, or building them into our curriculum can help us as Kumu, as educators, to learn more about our students. And I also think when students write about themselves, it can be a little bit more powerful. All right, so we're gonna talk. I want to leave you with that question about finding out more about students' names or about your colleagues' names and backgrounds. How do you learn it? So we already talked about that name tent, using the roster. I really liked what Jade said, that I don't read out, neither do I. The way I take attendance is I make sign-in sheet, and I just pass it around. They sign in, and on the first day, if they have a preferred name or they like to go by their initials or whatever the reason, I have them write that down. But then they introduce themselves on their pods. I like them sitting in fours, and they introduce themselves using their cards. Okay, and then how do we bring place into the classroom? Sometimes we can't always go on field trips. What kinds of relevant assignments do we use to build vocabulary that's meaningful, that connects to our students? And are there ways to bring community partnerships in, guest speakers, interviews, or field trips? I already heard Leslie mention that when she has guest speakers coming in, they can use those plate cards so that they know the students' names. Anyone else has an idea of ways that they have tried or maybe want to try this year to bring culture and community into the classroom or take the students out into the community?
One of the classes I teach is a purchasing cost control, and we're accredited by the American Culinary Federation. And one of the competencies that are required for graduation is about sustainability. And I guess they place it inside of that class. And so this past semester, something that I did was I talked about like the Ahupua'a system, how it goes from the mountains down to the water, and that is what provided for the people in that area. And so I talked about sustainability in relation to Hawaiian culture and how they look at it, that from the top down, everyone does their part to make sure that the area has clean water, farms, and then even down to the oceans where you fish. And so I just tried to connect it into a local sense to be a little more relevant or even to educate people who might not understand that system for that class.
That is awesome. I want to take that class or go on that field trip. Mahalo for sharing, Kelsey. Any maybe one more example? Anyone else tried to bring outside in or taking students out into the community?
I have one. So I took students last year for both semesters to Honolulu Museum of Art because I, have a connection there. I'm still working there currently on the weekends, but I do want to extend that that's an option for any teacher, that you can get in contact with their learning and education like department, or email them, and you can do free class visits to the museum. So I don't know that it's relevant for everybody, but it's like a really, really wonderful collection of so many different cultures. So I think you could integrate it into any kind of class, honestly,
Nice.
not just an art class. So yeah, they will give you free admission for your students. So
Wow, that's awesome. Great to know. Mahalo nui. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. I wanted to mention though, this is my class, my multicultural ed class, along with Kumu Yokepa's Hawaiian Language 201 class. So often we will combine our classes and take them out to the lo'i behind our school, which is called Kuhiavaho. Or we'll take them out to Loko'ea in Haleiwa, also Pohala Marsh, couple blocks down in Waipahu, to provide them a chance to huli kalima ilalo, which just means turning your hands to the ground, giving back. We help Kuhiavaho and the family that takes care of that land to remove invasives or replant huli. So those field trips usually provide a lasting impact for our students, and it makes them feel like, wow, I could do that for a college class. That was pretty cool.
Hey, Colette, can I also just interject real quick that
Sure.
when we talk about building community, it can also be on our campus as well. So as you folks learn about each other's discipline, in past AO programs, we've had instructors who have partnered together, like an art instructor with our automotive technology, and they did a combined class where there was an artwork that learned about parts of the automotive, and then they did artwork based on it. So or like Kelsey with sustainability ag, partnering like with Jolie or something. So just thinking outside of the box, that anytime that we can show that there's connection, that we're all weaved in together, that learning transcends the various disciplines and all makes us part of this Libra community, then that can be a positive thing for our students to show them that they really do belong here.
Love that. Mahalo for that reminder, Erin.
Sorry,
I
I do
think
Can I
go
ask a quick question on that? Like, would you have to write a specific curriculum to create that kind of class and get it approved? Like, how would that work? Because,
So I think they did it more, not so much as a class, but as just an assignment. So
oh,
for this particular assignment we did, but if you were to take it further to do like a co-listed class, then yes, it would be like developing the curriculum. It would probably be a cross-listed class, you know, so that you would do. But I would say to start off small, even if it's just an assignment or being guest speakers for each other, you know, find ways to explore other avenues, and that's a way to start.
makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, Erin. Was that our last cohort members?
No, this was maybe right before COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds cool though.
Mhm.
And that is very student-centered, which leads me to my next point. When we think about traditional ways of teaching, especially in higher education, we often have the style of lecture, 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 kind of thinking of students as these empty vessels that I'm going to pour all of my important knowledge into them and they'll walk away with some knowledge. And the reverse way of thinking of that in a student-centered mindset is really knowing that when our students walk into our classroom, they're coming to us with so much background knowledge already, so much ancestral knowledge, so much familial connections that they are not empty vessels, but we're adding to their knowledge base. So kind of keeping that in mind that our students are already coming with such rich background, and rather being the sage on the stage or the person who's talking all the time, kind of giving them more collaborative opportunities so that we're more of a guide on the side. Um, I really believe that the person who's doing the most talking is doing the most learning. And unfortunately, right now, it sounds like I'm doing the most talking, which is not how I teach. But this is just for today. You'll see as time goes on. Erin and I like to chunk up our times talking and give you more time for processing. This is just for time's sake. This is just a quick student-centered activity. I was going to show you some screenshots. This was a while back where we invited a Hawaii Tech Academy, which is an online school. They only get together twice a week, and so we got to collaborate with their teachers in math and language arts, where they did just like on the movie show, the TV show Amazing Race. They were in teams and they did English and English language arts and math problems first, and then they would do a physical challenge, and then they'd get a clue to move on to the next destination. That was so much fun. And our teacher education, my students actually created all of the challenges and created all of the fourth and fifth grade math and language arts problems for the students to work out. It was super cool. So in thinking about the weeks ahead, what ways will you incorporate more student-centered strategies so that students have an opportunity to work together and collaborate? And finally, I'm going to close with this idea of high expectations and consistency with aloha. Those are all very important words. And I really think that when we raise the bar, the students will meet it. And it goes the same backwards. If we keep that bar low, guess what? They'll stay low. So I would challenge you in thinking about your teaching, your upcoming teaching. Give them that high expectations because they deserve it and they will meet it and they will surprise you. Giving them balance and consistency, structured deadlines, but also knowing that this is where the aloha comes in. Also knowing that life happens. I always tell my students, health and well-being and family first. Your assignment is still going to be here, but if you're sick or your family is sick, you're not going to be able to do it. So take care of you, take care of your ohana, and then come back to this work because you still have to turn it in. That's the consistency and high expectations. Lastly, here's a picture of a group of students on the right who did a presentation for HSSI, which is our Professional Development Day. They are all classroom teachers and all graduates of our AST program. And on the left is another one of our students who got to teach a class of third graders from Waianae Elementary School. We do often, for our teacher ed program, bring in elementary schools and allow our students to teach mini classes, but also thinking like a teacher. So when they tell me something like, oh, Kumu, I had to work late last night, so I couldn't turn in my stuff. I tell them, what would your principal say about that? If you couldn't do your report cards on time because you went out clubbing or whatever the reason you had to work late, would your principal be okay about that? So giving them the mindset of whatever profession it is that you are teaching. For English, you are an author. You are a writer. Think like a writer, right? Kind of empowering them ahead of time because they think that they need that degree to start thinking and acting like the profession they want. But setting the high expectations early and letting them know that you believe in them is really, really important. And there I will stop. I'm going to take a pause and see if there's any questions, comments, concerns up to this point. Nope, we're good. Okay, we're going to end early today, so we won't be taking a break. But if you need to take a break, feel free to turn off your camera and do so. We're going to be, right, Erin? We end at 11?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we go to 11. So I think at this point we'll just go over the program and what's being expected. So let me see if I have. I think this is it. Okay. Can you guys see this? Okay. Okay. So this is our syllabus, and what you can do is you can actually go to it at go.hawaii.edu/lowercase IQR. So I should probably put that in the chat. Here, wait, let me stop my sharing. Okay, I'll put it in the chat real quick. So you guys can actually follow along. Go.hawaii.edu/IQR. Okay. And then if you do that, then you can follow along for our syllabus for AO. Okay, so again, Kalea and I will be your facilitators. At the top of the syllabus, it has our contact information. Feel free to contact us anytime. Thank you for all having your hawaii.edu email addresses. Most of our communication is going to be via email, via that way. And you will always see the kupu that's going to be in the title, the email title of it, so that you'll be able to identify early that, oh, this is an AO email. What we'll be doing too is probably by Tuesday, after each class, we meet on Fridays, probably by Tuesday, I'll send out like a recap of what we had done and what to prepare for the upcoming week. So there'll always be like some kind of recap, but we're also available anytime throughout the week if you have any questions or things you want to talk about. Kalea and I went through AO and just wanted to kind of let you know that this program is grounded in Nahopena AO. For those of you who have worked in the DOE, you're probably familiar with this framework. We just started adopting this, I'd say about 3 years ago, but it just really provides just such grounding values for what we should be looking at as teachers at Leeward Community College. So the idea of Nahopena A'o, this framework has the acronym of breath, or HA, which is the breath, but so B is the belongingness, responsibility, or the kuleana, excellence, striving for that excellence. Of course, aloha, and Kalea talked about that. Total well-being, our concern for you completely, the wholeness of you, as well as the wholeness of our students, and that well-being there. And then also, of course, grounding us in the Ike of Hawaii. So we'll be kind of basically all of our modules are based in are grounded in these various values within this framework. And then later on in the semester, we will be having a guest speaker from the Office of Hawaiian Education who'll be going over AO even more in case you want to kind of use this framework to ensure that you're hitting these marks throughout your own courses as well. Okay, program overview. So this is a 12-week or 12-session course. And basically, we're going to be meeting from now until October 31st. So that'll be our final ho'ike. That'll be our celebratory sharing of what we're learning type of class. And then we're going to take a break for about a month. So you folks will have a break throughout the month of November so that you can, you know, do what you need to do to get geared up as we close out the semester. And we'll meet again in December. And that will just be like a check-in meeting because we want to make sure that you're comfortable with doing things like grades. You know, what do you do if you have students who are not turning in assignments? You know, just kind of closing out any kind of questions you might have to close out the semester. You know, we can share and see how things have been going with you. So we'll be doing that. And this is kind of a new thing that we're doing. Normally we would just stop and that's it. But Colette and I were saying, no, you know what, we should bring them back just right before the end of the semester, just to make sure that they're okay and they're doing okay. And again, I'm going to emphasize you can reach us anytime, but the way the program's structured, we'll finish on October 31st and we'll come back on December 5th. These are our program learning outcomes. We'll be talking about teaching philosophies. We want you to start to really get to know who your student populations are. You can go to demographics. You can learn about demographics about our Leeward student populations, but who are your students? Do majority of them, are they from the military? Are they Native Hawaiians that are in your programs? Are they Filipinos that are in your programs? Are they non-traditional? Are they student parents? Who are these students that are enrolling in your classes, and what are you doing to make sure that you're meeting them where they're at? Right? So we'll be kind of talking about that kind of stuff too. Teaching effectiveness, you're going to hear from a lot of different faculty that will be sharing their time, their experience with you so that it can give you ideas on what you can take. And some things will resonate with you and some things won't, and that's fine. But it's just a matter of presenting a whole bunch of things for you, and then you pick and choose to see what blends and matches best with your style and with your discipline as well. We'll also be talking about what you can do, you know, as a faculty member here. You also have additional responsibilities, you know, to engage in professional development or to engage in service on the campus. And so what does that kind of look like? We'll be talking about technologies and how that supports your instruction. We'll be having some of our educational or media center folks, our instructional designers. They'll be coming. They can talk about Lamaku, answer any questions that you might have. So we'll be doing that a little bit later too. And then of course, practicing how are you going to have your teaching practice align with being in Hawaii and being and the Hawaiian values, which are universal values that we need to teach our students. Okay, so this is our schedule. Classes are 9:30 to 12, mostly because I'm not a morning person, but it's also because we're going to be, you know, sometimes we'll be taking some huaka'i, so we want to give you guys time on Fridays to not have to like get up at 6 o'clock in the morning in order to be somewhere by 8 o'clock. So we're going to be meeting from 9:30 to 12, and we start next week, our 9:30 to 12. We'll be meeting in person in room Ed 113, so in the Kaime'ike building, which is on the Eva side of the building, bottom floor, Ed 113. We'll be there for the next 3 classes, and then the next 3 classes after that, we're going to be on Zoom. And then in session 8 and 9, we're going to take field trips, and we're going to be going to the Wahiawa Value Added Product Development Center. And then we're also going to take a visit out to our Waianae Moku Education Center. And it's important, Kalea and I were talking about it, it's important that you folks get to see all of Leeward. Leeward is not just our Pu'uloa campus, right? We reach different students in different ways. And Waianae Moku, most of their students are Native Hawaiian. We'll be talking a lot about culture when we go out there. Wahiawa Value Added Product Development Center is our newest member, our newest sister site, and they talk about how do we uplift our local community who has bright ideas and wants to take things that they have been making or things that are sustainable, adding value to it so that they can then turn a business into it and make a living wage. So we're helping our community in all these different ways. And so we want to introduce you to that. I'm actually working on working with Wahiwa to see if we can get you folks to do some stuff in their kitchen, some activities in their kitchen, so that you can kind of experience what some of their students go through. So it'll be pretty cool. And then we'll come back in session 10. We'll be talking about Mauliola, or our total well-being. On that particular day, there's actually going to be a wellness fair in our education building that will be part of the WOL learning community. It's going to be an event. So once we find out more about that, we have a whole agenda plan, but we might just chuck it and have you guys go to that wellness event. It sounds like it's going to be pretty spectacular. So we'll see. We're kind of, Kalea and I are going to just see how it all pans out. But that's on the 24th. And then our last class will be October 31st. This is our whole Ike. We're going to tell you a little bit more about the presentations that you folks are going to be doing. But it's basically, you're going to be doing video reflections so that you don't have to do live presentations on our last day. It's really going to be, you'll have the videos done. We'll have some popcorn and food, and then we'll just showcase and we'll relax and celebrate with each other and do a closing. Okay. And then again, December 5th will be our reunion check-in, and that'll just be to kind of just see how you folks are doing, and if you have any last questions about closing out the semester. Okay. Any questions about our schedule? Okay. One thing I want to just mention is for next week, okay, where food is really important to me and Kalea. So we're gonna start our first class by having a potluck. Okay, and so I'm just gonna kind of say the potluck, we're not gonna be like, oh, so many people do starch, so many people do protein, whatever. No, this potluck is just gonna be bring a dish that represents you. Okay, this is gonna, whether it's your grandma's famous brownies, or it's like, you know, the chili that's the best thing that you make, or, you know, or this is, or something that, you know, talks about your culture, or talks about your background, talks about something you're connected to, talks about a memory for you, something that will help us to learn a little bit more about you. And I'll give you cards that you folks will write to share. This is your name and your dish and your story, your mo'olelo behind it. Okay, so everyone bring a potluck dish for our first session, in-person session on next week, Friday. Does that sound okay? Yeah. All right. So we're going to have like a whole mishmash. We might have all starches, but you know, it is what it is. It's totally okay. It's really just about us getting to know each other too. And then I'll try to bring snacks for the rest of the time. You're also welcome to bring food. If you have food that you want to bring throughout any of our sessions. So that's completely welcome too. Okay. Let's see, what else can I say? The other thing is okay, let me stop sharing. So the other thing that we're going to do is at our next class, we're going to do what's called artifact sharing. So again, continuing to build community with each other by learning more about each other. And so an artifact, what we want you to do is to bring something with you that represents who you are as a teacher. And so thank you so much, Kalea, for bringing that up. So this is our Google site, and I'll turn it over to Kalea now so she can talk a little bit more about the artifact, and then also introduce this Google site that's going to be a resource for you throughout this course.
Mahalo. So this will be kind of our repository where all of our resources will be placed. I've currently completed the schedule and module 1, and I'll be kind of rebuilding it from last year because we switched some things around. But it'll always have our Ho'oia Aina and our Halau Pu'uloa, and you can listen to it if you want to learn it as we go along. So that'll always kind of open it up. It'll always be structured with a ho'olauna or introduction, our pahuhopu or objectives, and then what are the activities that we'll be doing. So one thing I wanted to bring up in addition to the artifacts, so you have 2 homework assignments, but I promise they're super, super easy. One is simply bringing an artifact. So I'm going to just really quickly model that for you. And since we're digital, I'm doing a digital artifact, but when you come in, you can bring an actual item, an object that represents you as an educator. Can everybody see my screen now? Okay. Let me make it big so that okay. This is my artifact. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get emotional.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna cry, Colette. Nice.
These are all the people who have inspired me to be the Kumu I am today. This is actually me, you guys. It was from a KITV snapshot of Kumu Aloha, Auntie Aloha Deliri, who was my Kumu hula, who's passed away in 2014. And during that time, they showed an old clip from Mary Monarch practice on her property, and that's the like most recent picture I have of her. But anyway, she taught me a lot of things, to be disciplined, to be kind, but to also remember who your ancestors are, and that every room you step in, you bring your kumu and your ancestors with you. In other words, she would say, don't embarrass me, when you get on that stage. This person on the left was my first Hawaiian language kumu at Kamehameha Schools. I met her when I was 14, when my father first passed away, and I was in a brand new school. And because of her, I learned how to love my language, and I learned how to love life again. She's a very special person to me. Her name is Sarah, Kumu Sarah, Iliahi, Keahi Quick. On this side is my Kumu Lili Kala. She is amazing. If you've heard of her, she is a me'e. Kumu Lilikala Kame'elehiva, it's even in her name. She is a champion and an advocate for all things Hawaiian studies, Hawaiian language, and Hawaiian education. And she is now not just my kumu, she was one of the chairs on my dissertation committee, but she is now also my travel buddy. So I love my kumu. This is my mom and my oldest brother, and they were both role models for me and continue to teach me daily. So that's just a really quick way that we're gonna do the activity next time we see each other, talking about artifacts or things that, and in this case, pictures I used of all the people who influenced me. And because of traits that all of these people had, I hope to carry into my teaching and show my students all of the aloha that all these people have shown me. So that's what your artifact activity is going to be. Any questions about that? No questions? Okay, mahalo for bearing with me. Oh my gosh, this is not the one I wanted to share. Okay. Hey, I did pretty good, Erin? I held it together for the most part, at least.
I was
Okay.
trying to hold it together. You did great. You did great.
How do I stop? I want to get out of this. Okay, I'm just gonna stop share. Alrighty. So the other thing, and do I have time? Yes, I have 10 minutes. Am I okay, Erin, on time? Okay, awesome. I just don't know how to get out of there we go. Okay. Am I sharing screen or no?
Not yet.
Okay. You would
We
think,
should just tell her, oh yeah, you are now.
you would think after how many years of having to use
Zoom. You know what's so
Zoom.
funny? I was just thinking about that. You know, on Zoom, even nowadays, you still have to be like, oh, you're on mute. I had to say, like, after 5 years on Zoom.
So embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Okay, no. So, we will also always have an in case you missed it. If it was a Zoom, we add the Zoom recording here. So that's really the only reason we're recording these Zooms, is if you had to miss it, you can catch up in the module prior. The other thing we're going to ask you to do, and we're not just asking you to do busy work. We want you to try this strategy out and then consider, does it work for me with my class? So we're really giving you strategies to try out with your classmates in this cohort, but also to think about, would this be helpful for my own students? So the last year we did this icebreaker because last year it was Olympics. And it was a really quick Padlet icebreaker, and we called it Love It or Leave It. And it was Snoop Dogg at the Olympics. Everybody was obsessed. Well, I was obsessed. I couldn't look away. I always wanted to know what he was wearing. And so this was a really quick icebreaker, love it or leave it. And I gave the cohort members about 2 minutes to post something. And so as you can tell, there were different feelings about it. Some were just indifferent, meh, the sheep said. But that's one way that you could think about just engaging students on the first day. Changed it up a little bit this year and created a quick little PowerPoint. So I'm going to show you what the template looks like. There's a lot of different slides here. All I want you to do is choose 4 slides, and so you don't have to do every single one, and just fill in your information. So there's one introducing yourself. There's one that talks about job titles or degrees, if that's important to you or you'd like to share that, you can choose that slide. There's a slide about why you chose to join the Leeward Ohana. Are there any secret skills that you have that you want to share with us, or some hobbies? You'll notice they're repetitive, so it's not meant for you to do every single slide. Again, just pick about 4 or 5 slides that you want to share, like what you hope to achieve at Leeward. And then we're going to share this out. So I did a sample. Can you see? Oops. Wait, sorry, Erin. I think I was trying to show you mine. Can you see my slideshow? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So let's go through real quick. I only chose, oops, is that the beginning? It is. All right, so my fun facts. In addition to being a full-time professor here at Leeward, I am a part-time consultant for iReady, and I get to work with our K-12 schools as well as our Hawaiian immersion schools, helping them with reading and math. Another fun fact, I absolutely love travel, but I am afraid of heights. So how do you get over that? Just travel some more, I guess. Another fun fact, I camped in a cave in Rapa Nui, that's Easter Island, in a candlelit cave for 3 nights. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. To be in your 20s again. Oops, I can't move forward. Why not? Oh, okay. I'm just gonna go down like this because this is a model. So one of the slides you can pick is what is your favorite quote or model? And this is mine. A'ohe pau ka ike ka halau ho'okahi. This is a hula quote, but it talks about accepting and honoring the teachings of many kumu or many schools. So there's not one way to do things. This is important for me as I teach teachers to be able to learn from many sources. In a few words, why did you join the Leeward Ohana? I truly believe in the mission of the Teacher Ed program, which focuses on homegrown teachers. I am a homegrown teacher myself, born and raised in Ewa Beach and taught in Ewa Beach. I'm also an alumnus of Leeward and first-generation college student, so I believe in the concept of open access. And I feel like this is where I belong. This is my home. People and things I love. I love to travel. This is a picture of my most recent cruise outside of Korea. I love to gamble. Rarely slot machines, but I couldn't find one of my poker winnings. I do not have children, but I have 23 nieces and nephews, and these are 2 of them who go to Hawaiian immersion in Hilo. And hula is a passion of mine that has brought so many important people to my life. And finally, the rules of or tricks of the trade. I use ChatZero. So if you've never checked it out, it's a really good anti-plagiarism kind of tool. And it's not free. It's free for a little while and then you gotta pay. But Amazon or any kind of music is another one of my tricks for my face-to-face. I love playing music before and after class. And as the students get more comfortable with me, I let them choose as long as there's no swearing. And even during think time, when I give them something and I want them to silently or independently write, I just play some piano music in the background or guitar music. Oh, I went backwards. Supposed to go with the I am Kalea. But anyway, you get the idea. So in this Module 1, which will be sent to you on Monday. You're gonna see what we mentioned earlier, all of the weekly activities that we just did, in case you wanted to review. However, you will also, oh, that was an easier way to go through that. You'll also see this slide here, and I show you how to make a copy of that. I give you step-by-step directions on how to make a copy of this primary one, and then just select 4 or 5 slides max to be able to share. The place that you're going to share it is going to be in Module 2. All you have to do is look for the place that says share your, oh, just kidding. Just go back to Module 1. I think it's in here. Okay. So here's where you get the slide deck. You're going to make your own copy and follow the directions. And then we're going to share your link next week. How's that? Because we're running out of time. So I'll show you where to share your link. But the AO list is going to look something like that. And you're going to just add your name, your division, and your own deck. Okay? Sounds good? Okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to let Erin close us out.
All right. So just to thank you so much, Colette. That looks like so much fun. So again, couple things. We did say you weren't gonna have homework, but sorry, you have a little bit of homework. But this will be fun kind homework, and this is probably the most intense homework you're gonna have for now.
Yeah.
So potluck dish, something that represents you. Okay. So really, next class is all about you. So potluck dish about you. Artifact that represents who you are as a teacher or who you want to be or what is. It's something to do with you and teaching. Okay, an artifact. And then collect a slide deck template. So go into, and we'll put this all in an email for you. Links will be right there. So it'll all be in one place. It'll take you to our Google Site Classroom. So you'll click on the slide deck, take a look, pick 4 or 5 slides. Okay, whatever you want. Don't worry about presentation or anything. It's just about the information about us sharing. So it doesn't have to, don't spend a lot of time making it beautiful. Unless you want to, if that's your thing, then great, go for it. But if not, then just get the information on there so we can learn about you. 4 to 5 slides. Upload it to our shared Google Doc, which again will have links for you, and then that's what we'll be doing for that'll start us off for next week's class. Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah. Any questions about anything?
And we promise you that's the only homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Until you do whole Ike, until you do your final presentation and stuff. So that'll be a little bit, but that'll be fun too. So all right. Any questions about anything we talked about today? No?
Oh,
everybody,
excellent. We're right on time, Erin.
very good. Everyone feeling good? Thumbs up if you're feeling good. Our shaka sign. Yay! Okay,
Good luck
right
next
on.
week.
Oh wait,
Have
you
a-
know what? Wait. Everyone, can you guys do that again? I'm gonna take a picture. Okay, ready? On the count of 3, make shaka sign. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wait. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we'll see you next week. God bless you. Have a wonderful first week of class. We're here for you.
Yes,
And
have
we'll
a
see you
great
next
week.
week in Ed 113. Hui ho, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha. How was it?
Very good. Let me see if I can. How do I stop?
Oh, stop recording.
Oh, here it is. Okay.